East Point, Forest Park, even in the city of Atlanta as this continues to push further off to the north. You can see this bend in this line. Notice how it comes down. This is the Douglasville area right here up in Douglas County. That comes down and then it bends forward a little bit. We call a bow in that line. Typically, that's where you're going to find some of the strongest winds. And again, with the rotation that we anticipate there, that could be a tornado. And this is a Doppler indicated tornado, of course. Whether or not it's on the ground, we haven't gotten any confirmations as of yet. We'll continue to check that for you. We put a timeline on this right now. You can see it should be in the Fairburn area by 8:16, over toward Union City by about 8:19, headed up toward the College Park area if it holds together right around 8:26, and could be over toward Conley, for example, by 8:31. Again, if this holds together. We got a speed on this at all, Melissa?
65 miles per hour to the northeast.
65 miles per hour to the northeast. So as that continues to push further off to the north, these are the areas that you need to be on the lookout. This is the veils. This is the winds going to and from the radar here. Again, very broad rotation. I'm not really seeing where much is taking place. Maybe right in here, right along Wilkerson Road there, Wilkerson Mill Road. If you live in this particular area here, definitely want to take the necessary precautions. Right along I-85 down toward the airport, definitely take the necessary precautions there as well. Again, this is South Fulton County. For those that are just tuning into us, we're looking at some rotation here. That could be a tornado, Doppler indicated tornado. At least we're seeing the twist in the upper atmosphere. Whether or not it's reached the ground, we're still going to have to look at that. But you can see where the tornado is, that what we're looking at right now. We've been looking at thunderstorms pushing into our area. This is that main line that we've been telling you about, where the heaviest winds and rain would be along this line. And we did think or suspect that there would be a couple tornadoes that could form along that. Certainly some severe thunderstorm warnings that could be forming along that. And we're already starting to look at some of this rotation. Now, this could be a brief spin up, and it's not uncommon for us to get brief spin ups in conditions like this. And so they may not last long, but if you're again in the Fairburn area especially, this is right there on your back doorstep. So you definitely need, again, to take the necessary precautions. Even upstream from that, Red Oak, even into Hattville and over toward Forest Park, you definitely need to take the necessary precautions right now, as this will be moving toward you. You don't want to wait until this gets on top of you to take the necessary precautions, because something like this could cause a lot of damage. Even outside of this particular area, we've been seeing some pretty gusty winds. Winds up to about 43 miles per hour have been reported. They have been straight line winds so far. With something like this, you would get twist in the atmosphere, and so it would just mess up an entire area. Certainly the wind's strong enough to take off the roof tiles, things like that. So definitely be on the lookout, folks. Again, this is the velocity where it shows us the winds moving toward and away from the radar. And typically you would get a coupling in here. I'm thinking right in here, Melissa, is where I'm looking at, yes, right there. Everything else has been on the broader side. And so that's where we're seeing that twist. And again, this could be in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Not sure if it's reached the ground as of yet, but certainly looking at a tornado that could be in your particular area. And this was right, it says Johnson Road over into South Fulton County. So if you're in South Fulton County, near Johnson Road, just to the east of Palmetto, you definitely want to take the necessary precautions. Right in there, we're seeing a little bit of rotation. I'm thinking I'll include this right about in here where we're seeing that rotation. And this is headed up toward the northeast. Now the arrows that Melissa's putting on here shows you how the winds are going to and away from the radar. So we got that twist right there in the atmosphere, and that could be a tornado that could be on the ground. Now, how big it is, how small it is, we don't know as of yet. If you're in this area and you're able to snap some photos safely, we'd love to see that or even hear about it, but definitely want to take the necessary precautions first. Okay, that means going to the lowest level of your home. If you have a basement, you want to go down to the basement. If it's the first floor, going down to the first floor. If you live in an apartment and you're living the upper level, if you know someone really well that lives on the bottom level, you want to go down to their lower level place. You want to find an interior room. That's a room away from exposed walls and certainly no windows. Often that's a closet or maybe a bathroom that's in the center of your home. And you want to get under something sturdy, like a table or something that can withstand some weight. Typically what happens when a tornado strikes a structure is it takes the roof off first. And if the roof is coming off, debris could fall down, maybe hit you in your head. So the more layers you put between yourself, the roof, and the sidewalls, the more protected you'll be if a tornado happens to strike your structure. So be on the lookout. We talked about Union City, also again Red Oak. This is moving in your direction. The storm moving about 65 miles per hour up toward the north and east along a line of very heavy rain and some embedded thunderstorms in there. And so even outside of this area, maybe experiencing some of those gusty winds along with some of that heavy rain. We were looking at this line. It was a straight line that was moving through and then started to bow just a little bit. And so the National Weather Service said, hey, let's take a closer look at this, and then decided to issue a now a severe thunderstorm warning being issued with this same one. So it may be that the rotation is starting to broaden out a little bit, but with the winds possibly up to about 60 miles per hour, looks like they're issuing a severe thunderstorm warning. Melissa, this is included right into this where we have the tornado warning extended a little bit further off to the northeast. This now includes North Atlanta, includes Atlanta as well, and extends downward. I can't see the extent of that into the yellow where we have this moderate rain coming down, but you can see where Redan is included in that as well. That's in parts of extreme eastern DeKalb County.
So that new warning is going to be a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Clayton, DeKalb, Fulton counties in Georgia, and that's also going to run until 8:45. So both the tornado warning for that potential brief tornado and the strong straight line winds, those are all for parts of Clayton, DeKalb, and Fulton counties until 8:45. So if you are about to hit the road to work, regardless of if you're in that severe thunderstorm warning or the tornado warning, stay at home, stay indoors. And if you're in that tornado warning, as Chesley was talking about, you want to go inside, put as many walls and windows in between you and the outside as possible. So basement is best place number one. If you don't have a basement, get in that low-level bathroom or closet, something small, and put as many walls and windows in between you and the outside as possible. So Chesley, watching that rotation that's getting a little bit broader in the latest scan, but it doesn't mean that it couldn't tighten back up very quickly and produce a brief spin up. I've been checking one of our special features on the radar called correlation coefficient, where we can see if there's lofted debris. I haven't seen any as of yet, so as of now, no confirmation of anything touching the ground, but that's something we're watching very closely minute by minute.
All right, thanks a lot, Melissa. Appreciate that. If we go back to the velocity, I want to see that. And it's really anywhere along this line that we can see these brief tornadoes begin to pop up. Yeah, it's starting to broaden out a little bit. Where we were looking at, where we could have seen a little bit of rotation there, not really seeing that on this latest scan of the velocity. Again, velocity shows us where winds are blowing toward and away from the radar at a very rapid rate. And you get that circulation in there, and mainly in the upper atmosphere, and it could correlate to a tornado or a funnel reaching the ground. And really starting to see that broaden out just a little bit there, so it looks a little bit better, which is why probably the National Weather Service has issued now that severe thunderstorm warning, which means winds up to about 60 miles per hour certainly possible with this particular thunderstorm that's rolling through the area. Here's a better look at it. If you go out a little broader now, you can see that line, and I'm thinking anywhere along this line is where we could see a brief spin up tornado, or even these severe thunderstorms that will happen to pop up in our area. It was along this line that we suspect that we could see that, if any at all. And the warm front is a little bit further down to the south of us, so not even with that warm front further off to the north, because behind, or at least south of that warm front, is where we've been seeing at least the severe thunderstorms popping up, and even some tornadoes popping up well down to the south of our area. And so now we have some now popping up in the metro area now. See, there's the line there. It is moving quite rapidly. We'll be at least through the city probably within the next 45 minutes to about an hour or so. That heavier rain will start to be over toward the east. You can see back behind it, not a whole lot back behind it other than some moderate rain. And so from there, our threat, at least from the severe weather, I think will be a little bit over, or at least less, at least from the west. For example, over here to the west, you can see from Dallas over toward Villa Rica, Carrollton, Tallapoosa, a little less of a chance for that severe weather. Out ahead of it, though, that's where we will be watching for more of that to begin to pop up. Again, it was along this line that we saw a little bit of rotation, so the National Weather Service has decided to put out a tornado warning. Now, that tornado warning apparently has begun to expire. Is that right? Okay, so we still have the severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect. This stays in effect until 8:45. The current time now is 8:23, so we got about 20 more minutes with this. Again, 8:45. So Atlanta, you are in the direct line of these strong winds that will be coming up in this area. If we can go in a little tighter, we can point out a few more areas to you. Again, down toward the Union City area, Fairburn area, that's where we saw that rotation. So there may be some strong winds, and even if it was just brief, it could still do a lot of damage down there. And so hopefully you're still in your safe place. I would say stay there for at least the next 20 minutes or so before you go out and try to assess some of that damage. But if you're in the East Point area and over toward Atlanta, further up to the north over northern parts of DeKalb County as well, just stay inside, stay hunkered down for the next 20, 30 minutes or so, because this could be extended. As this line continues to push over toward the east, we can see more of these severe thunderstorms begin to pop up. Right now, the tornado warning has been allowed to expire, so that's some good news for us, at least. Right now, just looking at the winds in this particular thunderstorm being up to about 60 miles per hour, we'll say 58 to 60 miles per hour as they move through. through. Now, 58, 60 mile per hour winds can do damage. That can even mess up your roof a little bit as well. Certainly blowing around objects, so you don't want to be outside in situations like this. A lot of folks at this particular hour trying to get out and go to work. Maybe school was delayed just a little bit. Hopefully it's delayed past about 10 o'clock. And then we'll continue to see folks as they continue to go to school and work. All right, we got the notice that we're going to continue to go on. But let's just put a timeline on this. You can see this line. We've been talking about this line of very heavy rain, some embedded thunderstorms in a few of those, and that's what's spreading further over toward the east. So we'll be in the Atlanta metro area, or at least Atlanta area, by 8:29, according to our clock here. You're looking at East Point right around 8:26, over toward Decatur right around 8:35, could be over toward Lilburn right around 8:45 as it begins to hold together. What we have been seeing, we had a couple lines move through, about at least two before this line, and it was coming in and falling apart. We had some cooler air up here to the north and east, and now we're starting to see that begin to erode, what we call a wedge, and so the atmosphere is becoming a little bit more unstable where it can support some of these thunderstorms and some quick rotation that could begin to pop up. So anywhere along this line is where that can take place, so we'll continue to watch that. In fact, let's take this off, widen out a little bit. I want to show you the complete line that we're looking at. This one here is where we're looking at as far as the severe thunderstorm warning, again lasting till about 8:45. But you can see that line a little weaker up here toward the Roswell area, but you still have that in this particular area up here to the north. So places like Canton down through Kennesaw, right along I-75 here, close to Kennesaw State. Be on the lookout for some strong winds associated with this line that's going to be moving through your area as well. Could make it over toward the Roswell area right around 8:32. Could make it over toward Doraville right around 8:37 if it holds together. Big Creek, where we've already had some reports of flooding. Really doesn't take much rain for flooding over in the Big Creek area, but could be over your way right around 8:43. And again, along this line, not only the winds that we're looking at, of course, we're looking at the winds for any severe weather to pop up, but also the very heavy rain associated with this line coming through. You may notice some trees falling down. All right. But we've been hearing about that as well. When you have rain like this, it's moderate to heavy through the overnight into the next morning, of course, loosens up the ground a little bit, doesn't take much. And certainly a 50 mile per hour wind gust could knock over some of those trees. So be on the lookout for that. Right now, again, we're looking at this severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect until 8:45, includes the city of Atlanta in it. East Point, you're in it as well. Right there at Union City, Fairburn, you're included in this as well. This extends up into northern parts of DeKalb County. Redan is included in this as well as it continues to push further off to the north. Any new reports of anything, Melissa?
Not any new reports of damage, Chesley, but we have a lot of cameras that are in this part of the metro, and I want to take a opportunity to show you some of those cameras live on TV, because this tells the story of what we're dealing with on the ground. We're dealing with a lot of heavy rainfall. Looks like we're having some issues on this one with the cameras, so we'll go back to Chesley's Max Box, and then we'll get those cameras up for you here in a second.
All right, thanks a lot, Melissa. Appreciate that. Let's widen this radar out a little bit. Once again, we were looking at some rotation not long ago, right around the Fairburn area. Doppler indicated tornado. The National Weather Service has allowed that to expire, but we kept a severe thunderstorm warning on this. We were watching this line as it continued to push through. Was a little bit stronger back over toward the west as it moved into the state, and as it began to push a little bit further toward the east, we've been watching it. And again, very heavy rain associated with this particular line and the winds. We've been dealing with the winds even outside of the thunderstorms. Those winds have been gusting up to about 40 miles per hour. We had reports of even a roof collapse over toward a bank. It was minor damage, but those are the kind of reports that have been coming in. Lots of trees down, trees covering roads, a tree on a house or two. Most of those reports have been minor so far, but with the rain still in the area and the winds as strong as they are, more of those reports are expected to pop up. It's along this line right here where we're expecting to see the gustiest winds and of course the heaviest rain associated with it. And it's also along this line here where we could see more of these severe thunderstorms pop up, maybe even some brief rotation that could spawn a tornado warning as well. Right now, going down through Peachtree City, a little bit further down to the south as well, just to the east of the LaGrange area right now. That's where we have some of that heavy rain coming down. Here's Peachtree City here. That's where the radar is. And then further down to the south as well, you do have some of that heavy rain. This all pushing to the east at a pretty good clip. It's moving pretty fast. So Lovejoy, you could see some of this heavy rain and some of those winds right around 8:36 as that holds together over toward the Stockbridge area. Griffin, down toward McDonough. You can see this in Henry County around 8:45. Speaking of 8:45, that's when that severe thunderstorm is set to expire. We're going to stay with you at least through that. But right now, starting to see some weakening, which is good news for us, but we'll continue to follow this as we head through the rest of the morning. If anything happens to pop up as far as a tornado warning, we'll make sure we get right back in here on the air and update you. But you can also go to our website right now where we're streaming our radar live, and we'll pop in with any information that will help keep you safe, folks. Stay safe out there.